short or a very complete rundown of my life and career, and that final reference as a faceless broadcast executive isn't George's characterization of me, but that of Jim Harris. You might remember the former leader of the Green Party, who for years before I came out as a partisan politician, I sat on the coalition of the Court Consortium of broadcast executives, CBC, CTV, and Global. And every year we would have to resist Jim's demand that the Green Party get a seat at the official leaders debate, even though the party had not and still had not yet qualified by electing a single member of Parliament. I'm delighted tonight to turn out for someone who fought the good fight in this past year, in last winter's federal election campaign. Both of us, as you know, lost our personal battles, but we're both proud and we both take comfort in knowing that we contributed to the greater national victory. I think that Joe agrees that even 8 months after that defeat, this is a great year to be a conservative. And I must say, Joe wins the creative repurposing, the Green Award, for the recycling of his campaign signs. Greetings from Parliament Hill tonight. The Foreign Minister was to have joined us this evening. The realities of minority government have kept him in Ottawa. Nonetheless, Peter McKay conveys his best to you, Joe, and to everyone here tonight. This is not a night for partisan politics, and I'll talk just a little bit more about that in a moment. But given the events of the past year or so, I hope you'll give me a brief time out and just allow me to reflect on matters federal. Canadians everywhere, not just conservatives, but Canadians everywhere can celebrate almost daily evidence of decisive, really productive government over the past months since the January election. Canadians are realizing the promises made, and I know everyone has their own particular promise in the campaign that they keep an eye on the government elected to keep. And the Conservative government, I think you'll agree, promises made are promises that have been kept at home and around the world. At the same time, the opposition parties just can't seem to fathom that this minority government has achieved more in the past 8 months than the previous government did in more than a decade. I don't have to remind you of the accomplishments. But at the same time, in the Liberal leadership race, we see a political tourist and a retreaded socialist are leading in the race to lead that crumbling party. And they've still got a sideshow candidate who's so desperate for delegates that he confected delegates from kindergartens and cemeteries. And then there's Jack Layton and the NDP. Almost weekly, Jack demonstrates that he's over his head in Ottawa, whether in foreign affairs, North American trade matters, fiscal matters, or health care. It's just astounding how often Jack gets it wrong. Like the time last winter when he was announcing the private delivery of public health care, only to discover that his most personal of operations, his hernia operation at the Sholes Institute, was exactly that. He said in excuse, it seemed like a regular hospital. And then he began tap dancing in the way that only Jack Layton can, which reminds one of the story about the fellow who wanted to be a bullfighter until he actually got into the arena and met 2,000 pounds of raging bull and decided that all he really wanted to do was wear tight pants and listen to the roar of the crowd. On the provincial level as well, it is a tonight, we should be celebrating the victory of Premier John Tory and a new progressive conservative government. The Dalton McGuinty seems to be going out of his way elections in Ontario in the next 6 weeks, and that the reason that we're here tonight is municipal politics. York Regional Council will indeed be well served by Joe Lee. He's an entrepreneur's entrepreneur, he's a community leader, he's someone who celebrates his own rich business and his family life with service and with charity. I'll tell you a little bit more about that. I've admired entrepreneurs all my life. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. Some of my best employers in my various career situations have been working for entrepreneurs and family businesses. But I have to admit that I learned at a very early age, in high school as a matter of fact, as a member of a junior achievement company, that I didn't quite have the spark to be an entrepreneur myself. And a testament to that could be found in the basement of my parents' home with my unsold stock of window props. We went bankrupt. One of the few junior achievement companies that year in my school that did. In any event, I'm trying to keep in shape for the next federal campaign by helping out in a number of municipal races. My principal arena is in the city of Toronto, and my motivation is to support candidates who want to get partisan politics and narrow-minded ideology out of the municipal arena. Municipal politics should really be built on consensus. City council, regional councils are no place for narrow-minded ideologies. And unfortunately, in the city of Toronto, and I know many of you have homes or have families with homes in Toronto or businesses in Toronto, and Toronto has suffered over the past 3 years with a mayor who has blatantly worn his political ideology on his shoulder and has divided city council with narrow-minded partisan politics, which has not served anyone in the city of Toronto particularly well. One of the primary reasons Toronto has so many problems, from taxes to personal and business taxes, garbage problems, transportation difficulties, infrastructure shortcomings, is a result of the past 3 years under a mayor who tries to run City Hall like an NDP fiefdom. Jane Pitfield is the bipartisan fusion center-right candidate. I support her. And it's kind of fun. Liberals and conservatives are working together on her campaign. People who, just a few months ago, we were at each other's throats. We have now put our weapons down and are working together to try and make a shift in the mayor's seat and in at least half a dozen wards across the city of Toronto, so we can get back to doing the business of Toronto, not the politics of David Miller and the NDP. This has allowed me to get involved with a couple of campaigns with individuals, not just Jane. I think Jane would probably be a liberal by some people's definition, but a colleague, Adam Vaughn, who many of you know from City-2V and would be probably one of the last people to be described in the political dimension as a conservative. But I support Adam enthusiastically. I've been knocking on doors and dropping leaflets because of what Jack Layton said when he told Adam, if you don't run under the NDP banner, we will crush you. And I think it's that sort of arrogance in politics, in municipal politics, that we just can't have any time for. There are a number of others, and I don't know what parts of the town some of you might live in, but if you see the names Adam Vaughn, Donald Blair, Natalie Maniatis, or John Adams, I'd like you to know that I think each of those youth councillor candidates will do a great job and bring down back to City Council. And if you can keep it secret, I just might come knocking on some of your doors in one part of your region or another in the months to come. I want to run again. so stay tuned. But tonight is really Joe's night. Before I introduce him, I'd like to thank you for your hospitality and remind you personally from my heart, on election day, cast your eye down the ballot and vote Joe Lee. Joe doesn't really need an introduction. Most of you know him and know him well. Somebody else can. He is married, 3 children. He speaks Mandarin, Cantonese, Hindi, Swedish, and English. He was born in India to a working class ethnic Chinese family. He achieved success as an entrepreneur. I asked him, how many times have you been an entrepreneur? He can't really quantify that numerically, but he has started businesses pretty much around the world. First in Sweden, and he's had a successful business career here in Canada. He has created, sold, bought, merged. He's just a whirlwind on that entrepreneurial side. And he's used his success entrepreneurially to pay back to both the smaller and the larger community, to his close community, and to the province of Ontario and in the service of the government of Canada. He ran as a federal candidate of record in Scarborough River and the Markham Union Building. He's the executive director of the Chinese Outreach Committee for a Hospital Foundation since 1998. Served as VP, Vice President of the Board of South Asia in Ontario. There's more. I could go on, but I know that between now and election day, those of you who haven't looked at the detail, the great detail of Joe Lee's life, career, and community mindedness, you should do so. So, I'll waste no more time and introduce to you the next Regional Councillor for York Region, Joe Lee.
I want to take this time to thank you all for coming out to this fundraiser in support of my campaign to become Regional Councillor of Markham. In particular, I want to thank my campaign manager, Hans Willimek. Hans, please stand up. And his team, well, which is not of them, I'm not going to go to the name, for organizing tonight's event. Also, a special thanks, of course, to my wife and kid for the continuous support of my goal in representing the people of Markham in public office. Six months ago, I had an emotional meeting with Mayor Don Castle, where I was saddened to hear the possibility of his retirement from politics because of health reasons. The question of myself running for a seat on Markham Regional Council was answered this day. On Monday, September 25th, actually that was my birthday, as I was doing my usual canvassing, reporters were calling me and asking for a comment regarding the impact of Mr. Tony Wong's decision to run for one of the 4 councillor seats. I look up at the sky and wonder why a reporter asked me this question. I thought the sky was supposed to be without limitation. Asked by, over the phone, up with 2 regional councillors from the Chinese-Canadian community. With the hard work of myself and my team, I plan on being one of the 4 elected regional councillors. Markham deserves better, and I can make it better. I am committed to fighting for lower property taxes, improving Markham Road and road traffic grade road, and the safety and security of this community. Furthermore, I have a vision of putting Markham on the world map like link shopping in Sweden. Markham cannot end up on the news shopping for landfill like Mayor Miller in Toronto. Unlike most politicians that sit on the council, I have no problem speaking up about the benefit of a waste energy plan for your region.